This video is sponsored by Blackology Coffee Company.
Hey everybody, my name is Angela, and on this episode of Honey and Hustle, I'm sitting down with my good friend, Drew Romanowski. This episode is just as much an interview with the business owner as it is me catching up with an old friend. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and we really just got into topics of exploring how we were using our creative energy and our creative expertise over this pandemic. I think we really had a lot of common in the sense that we had the time now to pursue more of our creative interest, and a lot of that kind of shined through in this video. So while, yes, we are business owners, we also were tapping into just passion projects, just things that we wanted to do. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear what all Drew has going on. This was shot in Birmingham in my hotel room at the time. We were trying to be, as safe as possible, just, not be out in the open. Not expose anyone else in case we were exposed at that point, which I don't think we were. We were pretty safe about it. So this was one of two only episodes that I shot in person for the season, or at least so far. So yeah, just enjoy some good old-fashioned human contact in the form of a podcast. Guys, my name is Angela. I'm here with my guest Drew. We're in Birmingham, Alabama. Like I said, Birmingham is where I actually started my business, so I'm really happy to be back. Happy to be back with one of the people that I was able to work with from the jump, pretty much. We've shot weddings together. We've done So Far Sounds Birmingham together. And he has a plethora of things that he does on his own related to audio and audio production. So I can't wait for you guys to hear more about him.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It's good to see you again. I've not seen you in a while.
Yeah. Quarantine.
You moved out, and I was like, well, bye.
I kind of dipped. I was like, here 1 minute, and I was like, yeah, I'm moving to North Carolina. I gotta go.
I know, right? When we started getting some stuff going on, you're like, yeah, well, I'm picking up and moving. I was like, okay.
Sorry. It wasn't nice, but I'm not good at goodbye, so I had to yank the cord and just be like, peace.
Me, the rug.
Yeah. God.
Totally kidding. I know it sounds worse than it actually is. I'm actually psyched for you because you're doing your thing full time. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is.
I'm actually psyched for you, so.
You're going to be there soon. Don't let this pandemic fool you.
I know.
He's got the master plan.
I had the whole plan, I had it all worked out in my head in January, and then February started having things slow down, and then March everything shut down, and I was like, well, at least I have the day job.
Hey, day jobs are good though.
Hey, it saved me on this one, so.
Yeah. So with OWABM Presents, can you tell me everything that you have under that umbrella and how you've kind of expanded that, because you do a lot of things?
Yeah, so my company, OWABM, What a Beautiful Morning, it's just the acronym. OWABM Media is the full overarching umbrella. And so that's kind of been my easiest way to just do everything that I'd like to do creatively. But I have a lot of ideas that I want to do for show series of recording and filming different shows at different businesses, showcasing the bands and businesses. And then I've always wanted to do an actual podcast, but I didn't really have the time to do it on top of music and video things. So with the pandemic, we've started our podcast called The Corner Booth, and that's been really fun, and we just run that under the same OWABM umbrella. But yeah, and then a lot of it's all independent, just kind of contract work and pick me up stuff for shows whenever those were going on, run sound at shows and video when asked, house series, different venues around town. There's the wedding side that you and I did a lot of, and I'd like to have kind of that be a little bit of the separate OWABM wedding creative side. Mm-hmm. So my buddy Ian Keel, he's doing video stuff with me now, and he's doing all the video and photography, and I'm doing all the sound and audio. So we've gotten a few gigs from that, which has been great, and so hopefully we can keep that going. And then back on the music side, I've got a band called Callings. It's been fun. We have a great time with that. We play a lot of bluegrass, folk, country stuff. Trying to get a full bluegrass instrumentation, so hopefully that'll actually work out too. But yeah. So I think that's kind of the gist. But
yeah, that's good. So I feel like
at least in my experience. Like Birmingham, there are a lot of movies that happen here, so there are audio people and there are like music artists that work with different audio producers, things of that nature. But in the general sense, when it comes to someone who has their own gear, who has experience doing different types of events, working in different arenas, when it comes to audio production, you're kind of a unicorn.
I try to be.
Yeah, and that really sets you apart. So it's like, yes, like things have slowed down with the pandemic, there aren't events, but you can always pivot to doing like audio production at home and work with music artists, socially distant and things like that. So it's like when you create your own space for yourself by trying a lot of different things, you've also made yourself kind of like pandemic proof, bulletproof in a way.
Yeah, funny you say that. That's been one of the things that I've really focused on, like through the pandemic, is like, man, what if something like this were to happen again and this were to be my daytime thing? You know, how would I be able to adapt?
Right.
And keep things going?
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of working through that in my head a little bit, actually.
Okay.
But
no, but I mean, it's kind of like a good thing, because I think like on this channel, I've talked about, you know, what's the difference between having a niche and having a personal brand. Because within niches, you can really, like, once you identify that and capitalize on that, you can really grow and expand within that one area. But it's like a narrow sense of focus than what you are doing right now. But I think there's benefits to having both, because like while audio production is your niche, you've been able to like get creative within that and expand and do a lot of different things.
You know, one of the things I always think about too is like, I like to do a lot of things anyway, and I have a lot of interests, and I kind of screw myself by that because I originally started doing all of the different things that I was doing because I was like, well, let me just try it and see if it sticks. Yeah. Let me see if I like it. And then I started liking all of these different things, and I was like, well, crap, I don't know how to do this all day. I got to figure out how to, like, you know, segment it out. So
yeah, but you've done well because you've already like found collaborations and partnered with someone and like understand the value of that very early on. And I feel like that is also a struggle point for people.
Networking. Like yes.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. So with So Far Sounds, because that's pretty much how we met. So Far Sounds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with So Far Sounds, but So Far Sounds is essentially intimate shows around different venues, sometimes like house venues that you typically wouldn't think would host a show of that nature. Lineup is different every time. Sometimes they're local people, sometimes they're people kind of just passing through and maybe just want to get a sense of like the local community and things like that. But now you have OWABM, which is similar. So can you tell me kind of the difference between OWABM and So Far Sounds?
Totally. So I structured OWABM similarly to So Far, where it is, you know, very centered around the community aspect and the music aspect. But what I wanted it to be definitely centered around was not only showcasing great musicians, great bands, great artists, but the businesses in those towns. So like, for example, the one that you helped out with, Live at the Bottling Plant down in Opelika. In the name is the business or venue, you know, wherever the location is. That's what that is structured around. So then it would be Live at the Bottling Plant featuring Rebecca Eglund, and then the other one would be, you know, Justin Cross when they had those. And so I wanted it to be very centered on whatever community it's based in. And I also, the reason I did it like that was so that way I could take it anywhere. So it's not just Birmingham, Alabama. I could go and make it in Nashville, Atlanta, North Carolina, Washington, you know, doesn't matter. Just showcases local bands and businesses. Right. So.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely like that because like my hometown is Phoenix City, Alabama. Opelika's right up the road. I'd never heard of the Bottling.
So
it's like it kind of gets them out there as well.
Right.
You know?
Right. And it's like if you can spread it far enough, then it gets their name out there. And how cool is that just to have the name somewhere, anywhere else but local?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And it's an attraction too, if you think about it, you know, because a lot of times, like, I think especially now we're finding out that small businesses are the backbones of their community.
Oh yeah.
So it's like the more people know about them, the more they're an attraction, the more local people can like promote them and use them and be on the lookout for how they're adjusting and how they can support them as well.
And one of the really cool things is my initial kind of inspiration for doing the Live At series was Audio Tree. So I loved what they were doing, where they would just have great independent bands and musicians come in, play 4 songs, and you know they would talk to them a little bit. basically kind of like a quick little interview with live music in their studio. They would have a great product, good recording, good video. It can be sold on both fronts. Everybody makes a little bit off of it. And then they've got a good promotional product.
Right.
So that's kind of what the general idea of it was.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you also make kind of like a live album for the artist, which is also really unique, right? So like live shows and live albums are really, I think, we're becoming a thing.
And I love live music anyway.
Right? So like it's a win-win.
That,
you know?
yeah.
It's really that like take-home experience in every sense, because they can physically have the recording, not physically, digitally have the recording, and then be able to see it, replay it, you know, experience that. My
next steps that we're really working on is getting it to more immersive sound. Okay. So mixing and if I can record it in immersive, that'd be great. But I'm getting my mixing set up to where I can do it in like full 360 audio. Okay. So that'll be pretty sick. Nice. That's the next steps. Like have video and audio in 360, and I'm using a format, the Ambisonics format, where when you, like if you have a headset on and you look around, not only will the video move, but the audio will move with it.
Oh, wow.
So it's like totally immersive.
Okay.
So we're going to see how that works, but I got to get a new computer for that.
Hey, a custom PC build has saved my life, so I'm not even gonna, I already know that game.
I'm hitting my limits on my current one, so.
Yeah. I did hit my limit on the laptop twice. I fried the motherboard.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That was the roughest part of my life.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was so bad. Oh man, no, but that's so good though that you're already thinking like ahead, like how can I like, yes, like this isn't technically a new idea, but how can I make it my own? How can I push my own boundaries within this and make it something that like is unique and that people can really like get excited about?
Totally.
Right? Because I think a lot of times people, they like, oh, we had this new item on the menu. Oh, we offer this new service. People are like, well, we actually really wanted like this, or like we've had. And we've experienced this, but we found like these limitations, so these what we would like to see in like a new product. You know what I mean?
I love that you mentioned that, where it's like you can offer all of these services all day long, but if nobody wants it, you're never going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Which is why I actually kind of thought about that with the wedding stuff specifically, where like I have like this base package. And I always tell whoever I'm talking to, I'm like, look, if this is not what you're looking for and you still would like to work with us, like, we can tailor this. If you want raw footage, for example, like when we did that, or if you want to do something very niche or very specific, like I'm open to talking, so just talk to me. Yeah. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. And I think like, again, like on some level people are averse to doing that because they're like, well, the customer doesn't determine what I do or what I offer. And like there's always like limitations within that. So it's not saying just like let the customer come in and say, I want to pay you $500 for XYZ.
Right.
That's not what I'm getting. That's not what we're saying. No,
that's not
what we're saying.
Price it fairly, but just ask what they're looking for.
Yeah. And tell them what you can deliver within like their budget or like within like your skill set. So like that's always like important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. Like, don't let them dictate.
Don't let them dictate everything. No. They're not, sure, the customer can be right, but to an extent.
Yeah. You got to know like what your business is about and what you're trying to do. So
that's right, and you got to take yourself seriously too as a professional. You know, you're putting your foot down, saying, "I'm going to make X product. Yeah, I got to make it look good. I got to make it sound good. Right. People want it. Yeah. Exactly.
So there's some other things that you've been doing as well during the quarantine. So here in Birmingham, we have, I think the Birmingham Museum of Art has been doing like some virtual workshops and things like that. Yeah. And you're actually doing one on podcasting, right?
You're supposed to be. We'll see what happens, but should be teaching a class on podcasting, so we'll see what happens with that. But
so like for me, like we both started podcasting because it's something we just wanted to do, and now that we were in quarantine, I also started mine in March, so right when the state of order had started. So it's like, well, yeah, I can't really see that many people, but I have the time, right? So it's kind of like a trade-off, and it's like, I mean, what other time is there to start? You know what I mean? You can't only make excuses for so long. And then after starting it, doors started to open for me. Right, unexpectedly. Like I started getting asked to speak and things like that, and so like it really goes back to sometimes like when you just do what you love and you do something that you like and you put your best foot forward and you don't treat it like a side hustle. People are going to recognize that, they're going to know that, and they're going to open doors for you. So like to that extent, as creatives, like you said, we're pulling a lot of different directions. We like a lot of different things. So, like, what would your advice be to someone who's like, well, I want to do this thing, but it doesn't pay, and it's just something I want to do, and I don't think I'm going to, like...
It's a great question. I fight myself with that sometimes, too, I'll be honest. I'm like, man, I really want to do this, but I'm like, man, I'm not going to make any money off of it. But to your question, I mean, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing had we not done that in the first place. So
hey, that's a good point. Valid point right there.
So I guess my answer to that would be just do it anyway. I mean, I hate being told no. So like if I pitch something to somebody and I'm like, well, I'd really like to be able to do this, and they're like, well, you'll never be able to do that, and I'm like, well, watch me do it then.
So it's like that little I'm gonna do it out of spite.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it just to prove you wrong. Like, don't tell me I'm not gonna be able to. Watch me go do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I guess, more like an ego thing a little bit with that.
Just a little
Maybe
bit.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, for real. In all seriousness, like, if you want to do it, do some research, find some equipment you need, talk to somebody if you know them. I mean, great if you know somebody, but I didn't really have much of the luxury of knowing a lot of people that really did the things that I wanted to do. So I've just always seeked things out and talked to people when I went to like shows and stuff, for example. And I like talking to people as is, so it was kind of easy from the networking side. Mm-hmm. I kind of take a little bit of a pride in that just because I enjoy talking to people. So
that was a struggle for me.
It's hard.
It has helped me in my business so very much.
It's hard.
Especially being in like Raleigh-Durham, where there's always an opportunity to go network.
Yeah.
And like places in Birmingham, you kind of have to really put yourself out there to meet people.
You really have to do it.
And so like I'm very introverted, so that was very hard. And a lot of people I met, honestly, if I'm just being completely honest, were a matter of convenience. They were like my age, we went to school together, we saw each other at shows often. Like I really didn't have to do a whole lot in that arena, or like I met them at a wedding, other wedding vendors, stuff like that. But in Raleigh-Durham, other business owners, you have to kind of like, okay, like I have to make an effort to go, I have to make an effort to show up and, really put myself out there. It's
so important. And like just shaking hands, rubbing babies.
Oh, God.
That's all it is.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Shaking hands, and you go talk to people, and you just find out what they do, and then you're like, oh, that's cool that you do that, and then if you get interested in that, you can ask them a question if that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
And so, like that, you can't be afraid to go to a house show where it's really intimate.
Yeah.
And just start talking to people.
Yeah.
Like that's so intimidating, I know, but like that's for those that are watching and listening, like that's important.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. So what I'm hearing is, do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Even if you don't make any money, even if you think nobody's gonna care, or nobody's gonna watch, or nobody's gonna listen.
Yeah.
Or nobody would potentially buy this if you tried to monetize it, like, do it anyway.
Honestly, especially when you're just starting out at that anyway, it's all a learning experience. Like I'm still learning from my stuff and finding out how I need to price even something as simple as a show, because a lot of it's on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
It's all a lot of small stuff usually, a lot of independent stuff, and I'm not trying to rip off the musicians or anything. They're not making much anyway.
Yeah.
But there's also a certain point of it where it's like, look, I'm trying to be a professional at this just like you're trying to be a professional at this, just like the band is trying to be a professional at this.
Right.
There needs to be something in terms of whether it's work trade-off, monetary payment, like...
Yeah.
Make a deal if you need to, trade something, or I don't know, but...
Yeah. But that's a really smart thing too, business bartering. I don't know if people say it like that, but like trading a service, like, hey, you do this show for me, I'll do this XYZ for you, like...
Totally.
Yeah.
Then you both get an actual, maybe, product out of it, or just good eye time.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, like, using each other's networks, like, oh, I saw that my music was featured on Drew's podcast, or like, Drew mixed this song for so-and-so, or whatever. Totally. Like, it's that all so
it's all a word-of-mouth business.
Yeah, it's a grow. Yeah, I like that for sure. I don't know, I just feel like super nostalgic, like being here, just thinking about like my experience here in Birmingham and how like I talk a lot of shit, but this was what built me up to be like in the position to move to Raleigh-Durham and be like really successful, because I knew what I needed, knew what I wanted, and knew where I was headed.
Totally.
And so you got to start somewhere.
It's so cool too that you've managed to like actually make it your full-time thing. Like I'm super jealous of that. I can't wait till like I can make the decision and be like, yeah, this is totally what I'm doing. Like,
It's
this is full-time.
it's one of those things, like, you know, I definitely like, I mean, it was a grind, like, every day after work for like 3 months.
Oh, I get it.
You know, like networking, driving an hour to Raleigh from like Chapel Hill, like, and then going home, eating, taking a shower,
Getting back to work.
Yeah, doing it all over again. You know, that was my life. So like, you know, I sacrificed a lot of things. Like, I wasn't in a relationship. I don't have kids. You know, I live by myself pretty much. And I made friends here and there. You know what I mean? But
Right.
you know, it was like, this is my focus. Like, I don't want to be looking back in 6 months saying like, why don't I have business? Why don't I have clients? Why doesn't anybody know my name? Like, I just didn't want to like take it slow. And so I guess like to this point, like that you've been talking about, is like, if you play small, you stay small. If you're not willing to take a risk, do something for free, put yourself out there, even do stuff at your own expense for something that you know that you want.
Done plenty of that.
You're not gonna get anywhere. This whole like, you just want to wake up and make money, like, that's not how running a business works.
It's a great pipe dream.
Yeah.
But
It's not how it works.
yeah, no, I've definitely, all of my endeavors that I've done, I've put a lot of money on the front end to get equipment,
Yeah.
locations, you know, venues to be able to do live at the bottling plant. That was all my personal money from my day job I made. I would just save some and shell it out as needed. So
Yeah, that's how it goes. I mean, like,
Yep.
it is what it is. I would say that. I mean, like, there are some businesses where you may not have to invest as much on the front end.
yeah, if not, that's, hey, go you.
Yeah.
More power to you, honestly.
Yeah, but creatively, I mean, like, lights, audio, camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Drew has like a bunch of stuff. Like, you should have seen his
Oh, I
setup
got
at the
it.
bottling plant. It's crazy.
I've got lots of equipment.
Yeah.
I need a lot of storage space.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a grind, but it's worth it, you know. And you're saying this now. You're like, oh, I wish I could like
Yeah.
let this, like, I give it like 6 months after we hit like at least another level of being able to safely congregate.
Right.
He's gonna be full time.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm really waiting to see what happens with shows and gigs, and I just ready for it to really get back because I miss all my people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what like things have you seen like kind of change or evolve in the event industry, in the music industry since the pandemic?
Well, a lot of the stuff that I've seen, of course, is all of the streaming, all, you know, Facebook, YouTube, and I've done a few things like that. Really, my main work lately has been just coming from churches and being involved with services.
Okay.
Because they're all streaming and they need, you know, professional audio, video people.
Right.
So I work at a few different churches actually right now. And
I've always been conflicted about that because there is a need, you know, as a videographer. They're like, we're looking for a videographer, and it's like, do I want my income to be tied to my faith? Let's think critically here, but also they pay pretty well.
It's
been a struggle.
I straight up, I made an agreement with myself a long time ago because I am a Christian, and I don't get any of my actual worship out of when I work because my production brain is on.
Yeah.
And when I'm working, it's like, well, I would love to be able to listen to what's going on, but I'm so focused on making sure audio sounds good, the band sounds good, no feedback, in-ears are working, things are working. And so I just have to, you know, take a minute every now and then, and I'm like, all right, I've accepted this. This is what I'm going to do for this. This is my job. Like, this is one of my jobs. And so I just get what I need elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's very much conflicting. Like, it's very hard to do too, because I still slip up every now and then. I'm like, man, I really want to be able to listen to what's going on, but nah.
Yeah. I know. I'm like so concerned about that.
Yeah.
But
it's tough.
It's there. I mean, there's some things too you have to decide as a business owner. Like, what am I gonna do? Like. And
they're usually, honestly, some of the most grateful people. Like, the churches that, like my home church, I play guitar at, and which is fun. And the couple churches that I work at, they're just so grateful to have somebody who is knowledgeable in what you're doing.
Yeah.
They're like, look, we're just trying to get this out to other people, because there's a point of it too where you're like, it's also not about you in that sense, because like, if you can help deliver a great product for people that are seeking that out, then you've done a great job, because you're helping to get an effective message, hopefully it's effective, to more people.
Right.
So,
you know, there's people that run sound at shows. But there's not a lot of people that like do that outside of it, right? So they like hey, if you got a soundboard, I can come in, I can work it.
Right.
But I don't have my own equipment. I'm
Right.
not really used to doing it in unideal conditions. Like,
I'm so glad you mentioned that, actually, because that's one of the things that I have really focused on with my partner that does stuff with me. His name is Barry. A lot of the stuff we talk about is, since we go to so many different places, we spent like $250 on this one piece of equipment where we can calibrate the speakers to the room wherever we go.
okay.
Takes out basically 90% of the feedback, and the rest is if you just get it too loud or bad mic placement. But like, I mean, there's ways to combat some of that, but when you have somebody that is interested in that and actually wants to make it good, you're gonna have, even if it's minimal differences, you will notice it when you're at, X bar listening to Y band.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's the little things that really make that a good experience.
Yeah.
And I enjoy all this stuff.
Yeah. Thank you
I'm
so
just
much
glad
for
to see
coming.
you.
Yeah, so glad to see you. I wish we could like
I know, right?
the pandemic is
Dap
like
up
not today. Pandemic is like, oh, you thought you were gonna have fun in 2020.
Yeah, right.
No.
Oh, you guys wanted to actually have a good year this year. No.
No. No.
Sorry.
Shows? Music? That's fun too?
Oh, you mean you like being around people at live concerts and live music and movies and?
No.
Nope.
Oh, we're not doing that today.
Not allowed.
Not today, Shawty. Not today.
Nope.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.